In the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Tuesday episode of Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. As always, I'm Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell. And red again. We knew it.
We knew it. Actually, repping Jose Ramirez this time.
Jose. You're supposed to finish that cheer.
Yeah, we love him too. Our all-star. So we're gonna rep him today.
Wait, the first word is Jose?
Wait.
Whoa, it's a song about a Spanish guy. Jose. Okay, now that those antics are over. Ty, we had a lot on the line on the network last night, did we not?
We did, and I mean, boy, oh boy, what's some games we had too.
Like straight thrillers. All these games were won in the last, kind of innings with close games. Let's start with Class B and the Astro Falcons beating Creekside 6-3 to take a 2-0 lead in the championship series tie. This is a game that Creekside was cruising. They were up 3-2 in the seventh. They felt good about the way they were pitching. And the Astro Falcons, with their backs against the wall, the final 3 outs, they score 4 runs on the top of the seventh and win that game 6-3.
Heartbreaking fashion too. I mean, that's exactly what we've seen a multitude of times here in this league. But this is exactly what Astro has been capable of all season long. Is those late inning rallies? They're never really out of it. Is the dangerous part with Astro is you got to complete all 21 outs to get that victory with them. They never take an out off. They showcased it in the seventh, better late than never, right? And again, here's a big key. And you talked about that walk total, 10 walks for Astros bats. And yes, they out-hit Creekside this time 8-6, but pair that with 10 walks.
Just 18
really,
base runners.
That's just also on top of that, though, that's just forcing pitch counts too. And guys like Zach Luciano, who's a really good pitcher, only allowed 1 earned run, 2 runs total on the day. Him walking 3 guys only allowed him to go 4 innings because he had 104 pitches under his belt at that time. That's what Astro does. That's those little things that don't necessarily have stats that aren't magnified all the time, but those little things go a long way.
Really, Ty, even if they don't walk, they see a lot of pitches. Like these counts are going 3-2, 3-2. They're not just 3 pitches and a strikeout or going after the first pitch all the time. When they know how to work the count effectively, and there are some teams that, like you say, go work the count, but they don't really do it well, and they're always striking out on a 3-2 pitch or whatever, and it's kind of a waste of time. But offenses that know how to work a pitch count can do it pretty well, and the Astros definitely know how to do it.
Absolutely, they know how to do it, and then they know how to pitch as well. Brandon Coughlin, again, another gem of a performance. 6 innings pitched, allowed 5 hits, only 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts on 97 pitches to get through those 6 innings. Tino Campoli came on in the 7th and closed it out for Astro as well. But it's, again, another quality start-esque performance of a guy going 6+ innings. 6 innings here for the Astro Falcons, again, in Coughlin. That kind of performances can carry you too. When you're allowing 3 runs in 6 innings, you're giving your team a chance to win every single time.
So if you're a Creekside, man, it's another game. You were right there, right? You were right there. And we were wrong, Ty. We'll say we were wrong. We thought if the Astro Falcons won this game, it'd be one where they just ran away with the momentum and they busted through. didn't happen that way. I mean, they had to fight in the top of the 7th to win. So when you think about it, does that give you more hope that Creekside can at least get a couple of wins before this? Or are you kind of still in the mindset that we were yesterday, that because the Astro Falcons won, that this is heading really quick towards the sweep?
My my straight up analysis, I think Creekside can take one in this series. I don't know if I want to jump and say an Astros sweep just yet, just because Creekside has been competitive in those 2 games. It's tough because Astros the home team now, I believe, in this game 3, because it's alternating. So it's going to be tough. I believe that Creekside has the capability to make it go a 4-game series, but how do you not? After last night, when I said too, like, Creekside needs a lead, they grabbed one and they held one for a decent amount of this game. It was that 7th inning too. It just, there's so much that you have to do to get a victory against Astro. Obviously, backs are against the wall. You can't afford any more slumbers, but right now it looks like it's going to be a sweep, and I feel like that's where I'm going to have to call it too, is where it's trending. It's just Astro has so much talent all over the place.
Do you think that maybe Creekside has used up all their punches? Like, they've tried and they've gotten so close, or do they have more in the tank? I think they have more in the tank. I think they have another good game in. I'm not saying they're going to win tonight, but I think it's going to be – I know I'm changing my tune, because yesterday I was like, well, the Astro Falcons, if they win, they're going to run away with it. But I was impressed last night. I did not expect Creekside to be able to bounce back from the deflation of Sunday night. So now I'm kind of thinking that, okay, Creekside is really showing some moxie and backbone in this series. They can make this game 3 close. Not saying they can win it, not saying they will win it, but I'm saying, like, I don't expect this to be, Creekside out of punches, Astro Falcons kind of dust them off in game 3.
Yeah, I don't think at all this is going to be that case either. I don't think. I think Creekside will be there to fight. They're going to be fighting for their season's lives now going into tonight's game. But I think, yeah, like you said, and I think Creekside's going to be able to make it a battle. But every time it feels like any team can have enough to battle with Astro. It feels like Astro just has more and more depth that they could pull from, and put talent out there that can just produce. And we'll see in tonight's pitching matchup, right? It all starts with the guy that's on the mound, on the bump first and foremost. That's going to be the interesting part too. Who's on the bump for Astro? Who's on the bump for Creekside? Let's see where that pitcher's duel leads us as far as offense is concerned.
2 hitters in the Astro Falcons lineup had 2 RBI, as it was Ty Stecco at the 2 spot that had 2, and then towards the bottom of the order, it was Tyler Armstrong that had 2 RBI as well. So those 2 bats came up really big for the Falcons in different spots in the lineup, one at the top and one near the bottom.
This order 1 through 9, 1 through 10, whenever they go 9 or 10 man orders is absolutely incredible how many guys are able to produce. And you see it too. There's some guys that didn't have hits on the day, but the biggest thing, and every single batter, with the exception of one, Tino Campoli, who's typically a really good hitter, just didn't have the best stuff that night, but it actually doesn't even have him registered at bat, so that's just zeros across the board. So it might have just been because of the pitching change he never had an at bat. But actually, so take that into consideration and actually just throw that one away. Every single batter in this Astro order got on base, whether it be a walk or a base hit, 1 through 9, every single one. So that's production of guys that can get on base, get guys in scoring position for those RBI opportunities to happen throughout the order. And that's why you see a balanced order that Astro has, where RBIs are throughout it, because every guy is able to walk or get a hit every time up.
What's amazing is that's true, and yet they still had a 3-2 lead in the 7th.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was getting on for Astro, and they were still only had 2 runs through 6 innings.
It's a beautiful thing about baseball is you can look at those stats. You could see how many guys, 18 base runners. And I mean, it was 3-2 going into that. And they got a generous amount of base runners, obviously, in that 7th inning. But I mean, all those guys that were getting on base, it's just a bend but don't break mentality that we talk about all the time on this show, and that I like to talk about. It's pitchers that go out there and, yeah, maybe they don't have their best stuff. Maybe they're giving up some walks. Maybe their stuff's getting hit around the park a little bit. But it's, can you make those key outs when you need to? It's kind of like what we talk about timely hittings. There's timely outs as well. Can you get the timely strikeout when you need, so you can force guys not to put the ball in play? Can you get that timely ground out to force a double play? It's those kind of key outs in the game too, and that bend but don't break mentality too, where you might not have your best stuff, but you could still go out there, compete, give your team a chance to win.
Some shout outs to Creekside's offense, who did put up some success against the Astro pitching, and multiple hits for Tyler Kammerer, who has had a great summer. I feel like every time I'm writing a story about Creekside, his name pops up in the box score, and his name's one that ends up in the recaps. He was 2 for 3, didn't get an RBI, but the RBI went to only one RBI as a team, though. So the RBI went to Danny Flynn, who went 1 for 3. So the other 2 runs were not runs batting in.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about Tyler Kammerer's season. I'll shout it out for you. He was a 526 hitter this season in the games, played 571 on base percentage as well. So, I mean, he's definitely a guy that could produce 7 RBIs in the season as well. But, yeah, he's definitely been a guy that could produce. He showcased it once again for Creekside last night.
And he is there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they put him at the 9 spot. So this tells people, this is a misconception that I see with baseball players all the time, especially young baseball players. Because they grow up in the culture of baseball, especially when I was growing up, if you're a 9-hole hitter, they're burying you, and that's your worst hitter you put in the 9-hole spot. That's the whole misconception. Nowadays, your 9 hitter is almost like your second leadoff hitter. So you're going to put someone with a really good on-base percentage and someone with a really high average. If you're smart, you're going to put them in the 9 spot because they just turn that lineup right back over to your top of the order. And then you have 1, 2, 3, and you have a higher chance of your 2, 3, and 4 hitters hitting with multiple base runners on. So it's not a insult to be in the 9 spot. And the Creekside's lineup proves it because he's been there almost exclusively all summer long. And it's because, once again, he does a really good job getting on base. I think 571 was his on-base percentage. So he gets on base almost 60% of the time that he is at the plate. And that means 60% of the time, you go right back to the top of the order with runners on base.
And when you see that, too, we see a lot of 9-hole hitters, too. Nick Baco's another example I saw in the high school season with Ysn, which was a phenomenal bat, batted over 400, too. I think he had the second highest average next to Luca Ricciuti, who batted leadoff for Ysn. So that way, when you're going through that bottom of the order, that's turning guys over to the top. Nick Baco was a great guy for bunt singles, too. So you get him on base, you follow it up with Ricciuti, and then all of a sudden, now you're bringing in guys like Brady Shannon, middle of the order guys, too, that can bring runners home who are sitting on base for you.
The lesson for young baseball players for that is don't be offended if a coach puts you in the 9 spot, because that doesn't mean, hey, you're our worst hitter, we have to bury you in the lineup and we're just going to put you in 9. It means, hey, we trust you to get on base for the top of our order, so we're putting you in the 9 spot. It's not an offense anymore. Like maybe back in the 90s, maybe when I was growing up, it was something that people would do. Hey, the 9-hole hitter, bury him down there. And I know because that's where all the pitchers go in the NL. So it's probably like, hey, let's put our 9 hitter, he's our worst hitter, let's just put him in the 9 spot. But if you look at those NL bats, those lineups, really they just used their 8 spot as everyone else's 9 spot. Usually the 8-hole hitters, back when the pitchers hit for the NL, were high on base percentage hitters. And then you just have to throw in your pitcher, and you got to put him somewhere, so you put him in the 9 spot. But no, by no means is that an insult to say, hey, you're a 9-hole hitter.
No, not at all. Not anymore, too, especially with guys that are just – you are actually, too, oftentimes we'll see that in a lot of lineups, even in the major leagues nowadays, some of the guys with the lower averages are actually batting in the 8-hole, and they're getting protected by the 7 and 9-hole hitters to try to elevate that batting average. There's different ways to approach the game, and that's the great thing about baseball. There's no one way that works for lineups. So, I mean, we see a multitude of coaches and managers do different things.
I've always been kind of a fan of putting not your best power hitter, but someone with quite a bit of pop at the top of the order, because then you start off the game and hopefully you start off a couple of innings at least with a lot of pressure on that pitcher to say, I don't want to lead off the inning with a walk, because no one wants to do that. So I almost have to pitch strikes to this guy, but he's got a dangerous bat as far as power goes. So I've always been a fan of putting someone with quite a bit of power in that leadoff spot.
And we've seen a few teams that utilize that one hold sometimes too. You still like the speed guys, but I've seen a lot of teams put their power guy in that 2 spot a lot. That 2 spot's been favorable to put your big power, your big average guy in for a lot of lineups.
Well, let's face it, now with baseball players getting bigger, faster, stronger, there are a lot of guys that have a lot of pop, but they're also fast. Like it's not a misnomer anymore to be one or the other. I feel like back when we were growing up, the whole thing was, well, if you're small and fast, you're probably not that powerful of a baseball player as far as hitting home runs. But now some of the fast guys are also got some pop in their bat because they've been lifting at an earlier age and they've been starting hitting lessons at an earlier age and they know how to swing technique and swing mechanics. Sometimes, you don't have to be a big brute to have a good, powerful swing. And I think nowadays you're seeing more and more guys that don't fit the mold of, oh, he must be really fast and a good base runner, but not necessarily going to be an extra base potential or a home run potential.
Yeah, and what we've seen too with these lineups too, it comes down to you just want more at bats for those guys as well, and right. So moving them up in the order and giving them that 2 hole, then it enables you to potentially get them more at bats in a season and more looks, because that's the biggest thing. You want your best hitters to have the most opportunities to get the looks at these arms that you're going to be competing against, and I think that's where it comes down to, where typically, we've seen in a lot of old school styles, you put your big power guy in that 4 hole, right? That's your cleanup hitter. You want your 3 guys to get on base, cleanup hitter brings them in. But now we're seeing them moving them up in the order because they're realizing when we're going up against these good arms that are dealing only a couple hits, shutouts, we're preventing that guy from coming up a 3rd time, 4th time in an order, and it's really it's taking a piece of our lineup away too that can really be elevated if we move him up in the order and kind of give him a chance to be more productive with more at bats.
Yeah, so Creekside will try to use that strategy and try to get a win to extend the series tonight. It could very well be the last game of Class B baseball of the summer, as the Astro Falcons have a 2-0 lead in the series, looking for the sweep tonight at Bob Scene Park. It will be on ysnlive.com. I believe Matt Mayer is going to have the call from Scene 1 tonight at 7 o'clock.
Matt Mayer is like a scene legend down there for Scene Park, so
you'll get a lot of work, and I think it's only fitting that he might get the season finale at Scene Park, because he's been the guy that goes in, he'll do a game at 9 a.m. and then you stay there until the 4 o'clock game to do 3 games on Scene. He's been that guy that consistently does it on the summer, so I think it's kind of fitting that he gets what could be, not necessarily is, but could be the Scene Park regular season finale.
And you love to see it too with the guys that put in that kind of work. They kind of deserve it too. And Matt Mayer's voice has not been a stranger to any of those Scene Park games all season long. He's been putting in double, triple, quadruple shifts down there.
He's also been other places too. Like I think he did a couple of the 50-70 games. Like I think there was one day where he went from McCoon Park in the morning down to Scene Park at night. I mean, one of the things that we've always strived to at YSN is we reward the people that show up, right? We reward the people that put the extra work in and are reliable and loyal and ready to go when their number is called. And Matt Mayer has definitely been one of those guys that is always kind of right there with a hard hat and a lunch pail saying, hey, you need me here? Let's go set up. So Matt Mayer is going to have a great call tonight for what could be a championship moment for the Astro Falcons. Obviously, Creekside is hoping that they can extend the season at least one more day. Game 3 of the championship series from Bob Scene Park tonight at 7 on YSN. Ty, but don't worry, that will not be the end of our coverage at Bob Scene Park, because in a couple of weeks we have the NABF tournament, both junior and senior tournaments making their way to Bob Scene Park for a really great weekend. I should say weekend. It's 21st through the 24th. So a really great 4 days of baseball and a lot of talent from around the country coming to participate in that.
We love to see it too. And I mean, I've gotten to see some tournaments that happen down there at Scene Park all the time. And those are always fun, just to see the talent level that comes from all over the place to kind of be housed under those 3 fields. And just the type of baseball you see is unlike really any other around this area. Some of the best. So I definitely highly recommend getting out there and checking out some games this year.
They actually, just an hour ago, they came out with the sophomore NABF schedule. This can be found on the NABF information Twitter, which is at NABF info. We're also going to share it on our social medias as well. As soon as we go to a commercial break, I'll make sure to get on our Twitter and share it. But they're going to have, 6 games on Thursday, the July 14th. On July 5th, Friday, July 15th, they'll have rounds 2 and 3, and that will be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 games one day. Woo. From 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. It's going to be a lot of baseball on Friday, July 15th. Saturday, it slows down a bit. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games on the network. And then on Sunday, July 17th, 2 games, and then the championship will be on Sunday as well at looks like 11:30. So 2 games at 9, and then a game at 11:30 on Sunday, the 17th. Is that what I said? 17th. So that is the sophomore NABF sophomore World Series schedule, and they will also release the tournament, the Junior World Series tournament, which is going to be released a little bit later. They're still looking for one team in the 14U World Series tournament, and they're still looking for one team as well, I think, in the seniors. So they're still trying to shore up everyone that's going to come. But the schedules are starting to come out. We're excited to be part of the NABF and have them broadcasted on YSN as well. Every game of the NABF World Series will be broadcast on YSN from Bobstein Park.
We love to see it, right? We love to see it. It should be a really fun time as well, because there's going to be a heck of a crap ton of talent that's going to be here. I mean,
Heck, we keep it clean.
Yeah, sure. I'll keep it clean for you this time, man.
PG,
but no,
PG rating. Ty.
The amount of talent that you're going to see on this field, I got a chance to, like I say, see some out of town. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting tongue twisted all over the place.
It's okay. It happens to both of us.
Yeah,
so we're cool.
I had a chance to see some out of town teams last year that were really, really brought the power, brought the defense, and really brought some of the best hitting I've seen all year long too. And that's the kind of competition you see. That same Astros team that you're going to see tonight will take to the field in some of these cases too, with the number of names that you're going to see on these teams.
I feel like last year it was like there was a team called the Longhorns that did really well throughout the weekend. I think they were the Ohio Longhorns. They used that Texas Longhorn logo. It's instilled in my brain.
That one was fun. I still remember that matchup, I think, between Astro and Post 33 last year. That was really, really fun. That was a 4
and that's the thing. Astro Falcons, they're not done after they.
No.
They're like, hey, let's go play the NABF.
Yeah, a number of these names are going to be returning to Astro for that tournament. So baseball not done. It's still going to continue, and that's going to be kind of the NABF last year for me, and I think it's going to be the same this year too, is going to kind of be like your bridge until fall sports. That's going to be kind of like,
it's a long tie. Everything's been a bridge. It's been such a long bridge. It's like the Brooklyn Bridge of summer is basically what the travel baseball has been.
At least so you have the season of Bobstein Park, right? We can cover the season, but like now it's a tournament time now. So these tournaments are just the bridge until absolute madness, chaos, pandemonium, and YSN.
All other words for that chaos, pandemonium, mayhem. Good. Yes. Mayhem. I love it. It's all coming to Bobstein Park, and the juniors is going to be 14th through the 17th, and I believe the seniors are going to be what did I say at the top? They're going to be the 20. I'm going to get the dates. Hold on. I just sent it to Quinn yesterday. 16U is going to be the 21st through the 24th. So is the seniors, 21st to the 24th. The sophomores, the 14U is going to be the 14th through the 17th. So there's going to be NABF baseball from July 14th all the way up until July 25th.
What else can you ask for, right?
24th. Sorry, ends on the 24th.
What else can you ask for? And then that gives you just 3 Fridays, I believe, until first football Friday.
for right now, Ty.
Yeah, so
For right now.
take us through the
Let's
20.
not get ahead of ourselves. It's only Tuesday.
I know, but I'm just saying that would take you through the tournament.
Yeah. By the time we got to that, I mean, July 25th would probably be what?
That would
3?
be, yeah, that's what I was saying, within 3 weeks. So, like I said, it's an appetizer of sports, and that's the thing with us here on the network. We just love sports, so we'll take it however we can get it.
5 Fridays until Football Friday right now. I don't know how we got ahead, but right now
I don't know how you got it. Yeah, you were shoved. So that
I
was
just looked at the calendar. I was like, wait a minute, 4 doesn't make sense.
So we would have 4 Fridays. There we
Because
go.
it is August 19th, right?
First Friday, but I think they do the Thursday games too. So technically,
There's like one Thursday game. Last year it was Sebring and
that's St. John's School, right? Was it St. John's? No.
I just remember the MVAC opened the high school football season, and then they closed it because they were the last state championship.
Yeah. Thursday usually will be an opening game. We'll have to check our team schedules too. I think we might have one of our YSN teams on a Thursday game. We'll have to double check on that too. But
Salem likes to open on Thursdays too.
yeah, opening day is technically a Thursday too, and then everybody else on Friday, which is madness. But Thursday,
That's kinda how college football does it too.
Well,
like they'll have a couple of games on a Thursday, and then everyone gets kicked off on the Saturday.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Ann. I thought the opening game last year was Thursday. Was that Ursuline game at YSU?
Well, I think the first game that got kicked off was Sebring because they started like at 6:30.
Yeah, you're right. They started early.
Like the MVAC got to kick off the high school football season because they started a half an hour earlier than everybody else. But last year, remember, we had half and half. I think we had a bunch of games on Thursday and Friday. I think they
we had
split.
prime time. I remember, and then it went into the game for that Ursuline one.
Last year I think we had to have prime time week 1 on a Wednesday because there were so many Thursday games.
Did we have it on a Wednesday? I thought we did it on a Thursday.
Could be completely wrong. I'm sure if I'm completely wrong, DJ's gonna get in our comments.
I'm pretty sure we had it on a Thursday last year, week 1.
Did we?
DJ was prime time.
Did we have 2 last year because we had a Saturday game too? Is that what we did last year?
Maybe
2 week 1.
I definitely just remember they were in
Ursuline for that first Ursuline game.
Yeah, they
played. It was an epic game. I can't remember the team name. It's all gone. Everything from fall last year is just.
No,
but I think now that I'm thinking, I think we did like two prime times in week 1 last year, and I'm pretty sure it was just the Thursday, and then we did one on Saturday morning or something like that.
It was definitely. I definitely remember the Thursday one happening just because I remember DJ and them being in.
Thursday had to be South Range Springfield, right? Last year, because they opened up the season, and that was like one of the most anticipated games. And
I think it was partly. No, I think it was Ursuline.
I know we did Ursuline, but they played on a Saturday, didn't they?
No, they played on a Thursday, I think.
Oh well, so whatever. It's we did it. Here's the point: we're gonna do it again this year. We'll have YSN primetime from Thursday night.
Because I think South Range and Springfield played on Friday because DJ did the Ursuline one and then he did South Range on the Friday.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure.
I don't. We're lost.
We're lost. Actually, fun fact: that game actually happened August 19th last year.
If you need to know how credible we are as far as YSN history, remember when we thought, oh. That softball all-star game was further off in the summer. We had to hold it back a little bit, and then no, it was like June 27th.
But like I was saying too, on that fun fact, August 19th opened up the season last year on Thursday.
Yeah.
It was a Thursday. Technically, Thursday will be August 18th. First Friday is August 19th. But we were talking about how early it was starting too. We actually got a preview of this last year as well.
Yes, we did. You're right.
Because it started earlier last year as well. I wonder how much earlier they can really start it. I mean, I
don't know if they can push it back any further.
I don't think you really can, right? Unless you're ending school.
I think at this point, if you wanted to extend the regular season, you'd have to extend the end.
You'd have to cut spring even shorter. Like you'd have to get out in May, and then baseball, softball seasons. Like you want us to play starting at the end of February or the
And
middle of March.
and then it's funny because all the spring athletes and the parents are all calling for a start in later in the spring so they can play in better weather. Because you look at our June compared to our May and April, it was like June was amazing. So they're like, hey, let's play like the last 2 weeks of the regular season in the end of May and the start of June. And you can't. It's a
We're
logistic nightmare to change the
We
dates
are
there.
after basketball season. We're taking March until May off. We're coming back in May to start off baseball, softball. It's spring break is the new summer break.
Yeah, we can't do this April baseball softball anymore.
Oh man, we had a lengthy discussion the one day about that too, about the adverse weather that we had to battle through this year. But
And I
I mean,
think
at
we
the
came
end
to
of the
the
day, we kind of just chalked it up to we're trying to make decisions for every year based off of rain that happened
right
this
because
year.
remember, like this spring was one of the wettest springs that I can remember. Like it rained every day. It felt like. And even Andrew DePaulo was saying like we've had more rain this spring than we have on average or we have in a while. So I don't think everyone was kind of coming up with ideas of how to avoid it. And it's like, well, let's not. I think the phrase I used was let's not jump to a reaction based on this one spring that was really bad. I mean, usually the springs are manageable. You miss a couple of games here and there with rain, but most of the time you can get games in. Last spring was just a nightmare, and the rain wouldn't let up. And I think that was kind of a outlier. Hopefully next
At the
spring's
end of
not
the
like
day,
that.
it's rain, right? Rain happens
Right.
pretty much all season except for winter when it's really cold.
And you
Because
know what? You can't fight Mother Nature if you move it.
dome over the stadium. You can't over these fields. You can't do anything about the rain. Tarp it and hope for the best. I mean, that's
All time. Why don't you just build us an indoor baseball softball facility with full length baseball fields that can have games? Come on.
it's just. I mean, the only thing you can do for the teams that are able to and have the capabilities to, the schools do, get turf it up if you can to kind of prevent some of that. And if you have to go with the old school dirt and grass fields, throw a tarp on it. That's the biggest thing, right? That's the only things you can do.
Well, here's one thing you can do. I mean, I get a drainage system.
Yeah, obviously a good
Yeah.
drainage system. But I mean, you got to take into considerations the capabilities of some of these schools. I mean, you got to just work with what you got, do what you can do for some of these.
Skip the new uniforms one year and use that money for a drainage system.
I mean, there's certain things definitely. I mean, you do bring up a great point with that, Dan. There's definitely certain things. Hold on, Chris Sigler, always with great comments, throwing one in there. Problem with pushing spring season or
It's bad.
that pile up, senior trips, prom, graduation. Yeah, honestly,
It's
I
not going to happen.
yeah, it was all a joke with that one, Siggy. There's no way I could ever see them pushing summer break back. I know we've thrown it around on the network, but it feels like it's impossible to implement it now. But I know there's some. I don't know if it's states or I forget in what context it was, but they do the big breaks after every 9 weeks. So after 9 weeks, you get like a 4 week break, and then 9 weeks, 4 week break, and then that's that, or like a 3 week break.
So instead of a summer vacation, you get like a half of a summer vacation between every 9 weeks.
Yeah, you get like an extended 3 to 4 weeks off after every
Oh.
9 weeks, so that way you could kind of close the book on that and then open up new stuff.
I'm trying to
Because the only way I feel like that's just a nightmare then for athletics directors to try to schedule, unless you're using that time for like sports championships, right? Because like I feel like that'd be the only thing you can.
Well, it's close to that. I mean, you don't get a 3 week break, but like the way I remember it is like our end of the semester in high school always lined up with almost a holiday break. Like the end of the first 9 weeks, okay, then it's Thanksgiving. You get like a week off. Cool. Okay, I can decompress. I just took all my finals. I can just relax for a minute. And then you went in the second 9 weeks ended usually like 2 weeks after Christmas break was done. So you at least had a break towards the end to at least get mentally prepared for finals and come in fresh for finals and have a break not at the end of the 9 weeks, but I think like 7 weeks into the 9 week schedule. And then the third 9 weeks always ended right around spring break. So you had a week off. And then of course the fourth 9 weeks ends and you're done with school. So I feel like it's kind of lined up like that, where
It's
they
kinda
try
like
to.
but you would just extend those breaks, right? So like you would have a
You know
break.
what, Ty? If you did that, the teachers would be like, "I want my summer vacation," right? Because if you
That,
take those days away from, if you take those days, you got to put those days somewhere, right? So if you're making the breaks in the school year longer, you got to take those days out of summer break. And I think a lot more people would rather have a summer
well, yeah,
vacation than
you
a winter vacation.
like I said, you would
What can
have
we do in the winter?
you would have to abolish summer break to make it happen. That's why I said I
The
don't see
teacher
it.
unions would have a riot.
Yeah, you wouldn't have it happen because also it's too long. It's been implemented too long in America that
And
there's
look, there's not a state mandate on when you take your breaks. Like
but
the state mandate is, if I know it right, if I'm wrong, I'll be teared apart. But I think the state mandate is you have to go to school for this amount of days. You can divvy it up however you want. That's on the teachers that vote. The teachers vote for the days that they're able to go, and days that they get breaks on. That's why some schools start in after the Canfield Fair. Some schools start in August. It's all based on when their teacher union or when their teacher board wants to have their break. Some schools have a short spring break, so they can have a longer Christmas break. Um, but as long as you go to school the X amount of days, I forget how many days it is,
yeah.
you're good, right?
So maybe
So
it was a state that I saw, or maybe like counties in a state that I saw. I think it was actually in Indiana. I saw certain parts of Indiana, they do that where it's like they would go and they just have extended breaks. So at the end of the 9 weeks, you get like a month off then from like Thanksgiving till after Christmas.
see,
And
I
then
would hate that, because then you have to come back from a month off
I
and
would
be in
hate
the
it.
middle of a curriculum, right? So like,
I
my brain would
personally,
shut off if I had a month off. Like my high school brain would shut off, and I'd come back and have to know everything that I learned a month ago, because
yeah.
you still have to know that stuff to continue on in the curriculum. My brain would be fried.
I think it just depends on how the upbringing is, and obviously there's different systems that work. I just don't see it ever changing in a lot of the ways that we've done things for so many years.
I
It's an
struggled with
interesting food for
taking 2 weeks off and coming back and being ready for school.
thought. Now you're getting months off, but then at the caveat would be you'd come back January, February, you'd be done, and then you get like a month off in March, and then you come back. But then the thing is, you'd have to go into school in like those June, July, August days, and then a whole other nightmare too that we're not even talking about here. A lot of these schools with air conditioning, they don't have the best air conditioning system. So like, you want to go to school in like 90-degree weather.
You'd have to let the kids carry coolers around with them.
Oh my goodness! Like that, there's all kinds of read between the lines stuff too that go into it. But I think it's interesting food for thought that I think there are certain counties in America too that utilize this with their schools, which I think is just really interesting.
To each its own.
Exactly. Right? I mean,
And I
exactly.
think if you start at a school when you're like in first grade, you adapt to it. Like it's like, hey, this is how it's always been. Because like I said, when I was in high school at South Range, they didn't start until after the Canfield Fair. So everyone else was, out of school 3 weeks before us, because we went late in June. And you just kind of, okay, this is how we do it. This is how you adapt to it. But I don't know if I could adapt to 4 weeks off back in high school. My GPA in high school was like 2.6. It'd probably be like a 1.8 if I took a month off and came back to school.
Yeah, it's essentially called the year-round school calendar. There's all kinds of stuff on it.
You look it up.
Yeah. There's certain things I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to find the certain counties that
I don't know how we got. This has nothing to do with sports, but
it has not. Well, it got off of on the tangent too because of the weather and people trying to avoid it, and like
right.
that's that I feel like do you know the nightmare that you'd have to go through to get all that to just try to avoid?
That's right. When people are like, "Hey, move baseball and softball to the fall, that way they have more good weather," and then like, well, then you have to say the end of the baseball season, you're going to be fighting cold and snow. And it's like you're gonna fight Mother Nature no matter when you have the season.
Then you risk losing a good percentage of your athletes to football
Yeah, that's the other thing, and that's why some states have softball in the spring, but softball in the fall, but baseball stays in the spring. I think Georgia has fall softball, and I think Colorado also has fall softball.
I mean, like you said, and to each its own. I mean, we have perfect examples of girls' sports and boys' sports starting at different times that kind of co-align with each other. But
Tennis.
yeah, tennis right here is one that perfect example of one here where girls are going to be playing this fall, boys play in the spring. So you work with what you got, right? But the biggest thing I feel like you avoid the rain showers of April, but then you deal with the tornado warnings that come in the summer. Then if you're playing baseball in the summer too, so like fall you're competing with football.
Especially summer baseball in the Midwest would be a nightmare.
If
You're sitting there, it's like the top of the 5th inning, and you hear the tornado sirens. Well, let's get off the field.
I
No
mean,
way, man! I'm throwing a no hitter. We're staying. We're playing.
and not to say that they don't get summer ball because there's summer ball now, but like having it at one field like Bobseen Park where like grounds crew, it's way different than having multiple crews taking care of multiple fields across
Well, when,
all of Ohio.
like when you're in travel, you never know how good the field is that you're going to be playing on. Like you don't know how that particular field crew is taking care of the field. And the same thing with high school. Like you're traveling to a school, especially if it's one that you don't travel to that often out of conference. You have no idea how good their field is really. So you have to get there. And what I see teams do is have a walk around the field and say, hey, these are where the divots are. Watch out for this spot. This can get slippery. This is what the dirt's doing, especially if you're a softball team. Is the dirt dry? Do they wet the dirt more? Those kind of things. I like to see teams get there a little bit extra early and try to have like a field walkthrough for the stadiums that they're not accustomed to.
I'm curious how many ball players would say that they'd rather play in the weather that spring provides rather than that 90-degree summer weather too. Like what is your preference in that?
I think they'd say, hey, heat over wet, because wet you can't play.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about like just temperature wise, because like
So would
you
you rather
rip
play in
that-
like 50 degrees or 90?
yeah. Like where for baseball softball players, where's your preference lie on that too? Because that's I feel like a big
I think
factor.
that also depends when you ask them. Because like if you ask them in the middle of summer when they've been playing and it's
That's
like,
true.
oh, give me the spring, please.
Changing.
But then if you ask them in the middle of spring when they've played like a week straight of like low 50s, high 40s, and they're sitting there like, give me the heat.
I think a lot of them would just say, "I don't care what the weather is. I just want to play
Right,
ball."
just give me the ball.
That's
Give me
really
the
the
ability to
answer.
play.
But if we were being serious too, if you were to pick one, I'm curious on which one they would pick, depending.
Well, I've always been a heat guy for myself. I don't like the
You
cold
go
at
to
all.
Kansas City in the middle of the summer to
I
watch.
know. I think cold hurts and heat is uncomfortable, but like cold hurts. Like it hurts you to be cold. So I've never been a fan of the cold. I've been more of a summer guy. So I don't like going to a baseball game and needing hand warmers. That's just not. It doesn't sound right to me.
So hard to do for baseball, but so easy to do for football for people too to get out there in the cold. It's because I feel like you're just in a huge crowd with football too. Those stadiums stay warm.
That is really true. Like Fairweather fans are do you think it's like the culture of baseball? Like you're supposed to watch it in good weather, so
I feel
you
like
kind of something subconsciously says it's okay to sit out in that kind of weather for football, but for baseball, it's just like, ew, I
football,
don't.
they don't give a damn, man.
I don't give it.
They don't give a damn. They'll go out there in the rain. They'll go out there in the snow. It could be
But
negative.
it's in high school. It's like the same fans. If you have a son on the football team, and he's on the baseball team too, you might skip a couple of baseball games. Be like, good luck, kid.
Exactly. Like,
Football, you're like, let's go.
have you seen some of these stadiums when there's like a light rain for baseball? Like people are not there. They are gone. They don't show up. Or when it's like below 70 degrees, like nobody shows up for those games. Like Cleveland's a perfect example of it, just because I mean, obviously they're in market. I get a chance to see it, but like those April games, you'd think they're a minor league team with how many people show up.
Yesterday, Kansas City was playing a midday game on a Monday. Oh, that stadium was so empty.
Nobody
This guy
wants hot either. That's the thing.
This guy hit a foul ball down the line, like in the foul territory, and a kid ran from the corner of Kauffman Stadium, like the foul pole, and he was able to run all the way to like halfway down the line to get this foul ball because there was no one there to get it. So he was just like, I'm gonna go get it.
Like I've been in the reverse situation too. I talk about the Cole with Cleveland, but like literally Pittsburgh last, I think summer, I was there for one game and it was like 95, and like just being in the outfield for that 95,
That's
like those
dangerous. Like,
seats just beating down.
we don't go to day games in Kansas City anymore. That's a strict no because like when my brother was like 14, he had a heat stroke in Kauffman Stadium. So like we don't do that anymore. That's danger zone.
That's another thing you got to be concerned about too.
Like
Like,
you're thinking like middle of the day in Kansas City, like high 90s and 100% humidity.
it's the humidity that gets it too, and Ohio has a lot of it. And that's the thing, is just like being out on the field.
Yeah,
too.
we get a lot of it because it rains so much because we get the rain from the water from Lake Erie. So
The problem is too, like if you're playing a lot of these games summer to get kind of back on track with like games moving to summer for high school, like I think the issue is like if you look at the fact that there's humidity, these kids are gonna be sweating bullets going out to these games, and then heat stroke's another one of those things you're gonna have to battle through. That's gonna be adverse wise. I mean, not like I said, it's
especially
not
for catchers. I mean, they have all that gear on. They're out there on their knees in the heat. Someone help the catchers out.
Also, like you got to take into consideration with these high school games, they're not starting. A lot of them aren't starting at 7 o'clock under the lights where it's like cooling down. It's like midday. It is hot out, like sun, middle of the sky, sun.
But if it's summer and there's no school, you could start them in the morning.
Yeah, that would be the move, right? Like right before the sun starts really rising. You'd have to
start them at like 9 a.m.
Yeah, a 9-10 a.m. start would be the most ideal. Get out of there by 1.
Travel games start at 8, so
you got to, as I think for temperature wise, yeah, I would much rather play in like that cool 70 degrees, like crisp 70-degree morning.
Well, yeah, the people that say that they're like Goldilocks. I don't want it too cold. I don't want it too hot. I want it just right. I want it right in the 70s.
I personally would take lower. I'd take like 60s. I'd take like low 60s to play it. Throw a little bit of the sleeves on, man. Under Armour sleeves.
No.
Let's go.
I don't like layers either. Like I feel constricted. I feel like I can't move as much.
You're like Randy from Christmas Story. It's just like that in his chair. I can't.
Like, honestly, like back when I still walk with crutches, but back when I used to do it a lot, like doing that with like a hoodie, and it got because my arms didn't really fit in the crutch anymore, so I had to be like,
you're just moving like a stone.
The coat won't go. So like this was a real problem. Like, so here comes Anthony's real problems for the day. So like it would be a big puffy coat, and the crutch handle, like you have to stick your hand in it. You've seen my crutches before, right? They're forearm crutches.
Yeah.
So you stick your hand in it, but if you're wearing a big puffy coat, that thing catches and it pulls the coat up.
Oh, so that's annoying.
Like my hands would lose blood flow. Like I'd get all numb in the hands because it's cutting off circulation to your hand. But it's almost impossible to also pull that thing down unless you go and you open them up. But if you do that, then they slip out of your arm and you could fall. So winter was a catch-22. So when you add that with the fact that I had to walk through ice, winter was no fun for Anthony.
Tape hand warmers all over your body and just to keep yourself warm. Oh man, no,
winter was no bueno.
It's an interesting conversation to bring up,
but then also in winter the floors are always wet because people are bringing in snow, and wet floors, bad. My therapist used to pour water in front of me just to practice walking on wet floors.
Just like, here you go.
Hey, you need to one, learn how to fall when you slip, and 2, learn how to try to put your sticks at the right angle so they don't slip right on it from under you. She'd do that with water, and she'd do that with paper in the hallway. She'd throw paper and be like, hey, people drop stuff. There's going to be paper in the hallway. You got to walk through it.
Just start freezing the water in front of you. Here's
right.
Just like turns
walk through this ice. She takes me to the ice rink at the ice zone. Walk through this ice field.
Dumps like
go.
cubes on the ground too. There's like,
United was bad. I'd go to United and we'd park in the back because you can't, like, United has the steps to get to the gym if you park in the front. So we park in the back of United, but for some reason, maybe because it wasn't like a main parking lot, that parking lot was never taken care of in the winter. So like we'd be walking out of United and it'd be like black ice like crazy.
that's insane.
One
And-
time me and my mom both fell and we're sitting on the ground just laughing at each other. Because no one's out there to help us. So we're just like, oh yeah, that's great.
That's always the best parts too. I mean, I think it's even funnier when you see someone save themselves for a fall too. I always like to save myself and then check to see if anybody else has seen me because I need a grade on how good the save was too.
Oh, so many saves for me. So many times I
saves are
almost
the
fell.
best though, right? The saves are the
Right.
best when you almost fall and
And then
like good.
people are like, oh, nice save, man.
Yeah, you need a grade on it. That's why I
Yeah.
always ask what do you grade that? Out of 10, what is that?
And then they're the ones that you don't save yourself, but because you tried to save yourself, you actually put yourself in a worse position to
A
fall.
way worse position, yep.
That's happened to me several times too.
Just
Anthony's cracked his head open twice in his life, and I have the
Just
blood
trying
spots
to
back here to
save.
prove it.
just trying to save yourself.
I fell in a Perkins using that monster the claw machine arcade game, and they still have it. You can still go, and I point out like this corner right here, the claw machine's still right there. I fell and I tried to like grab the claw machine, but it like turned my body like this, so my head went right to the corner.
Oh, you need
And
a
if I would have just let myself go, I would have just fallen sideways into the window. And it would have hurt, but I wouldn't have cracked my head open. But because I grabbed the joystick to try to save myself, it like spun my body. So instead of hitting sideways, I hit with the back of my head. Right in the
joystick was controlling you.
Yeah.
If you move the joystick back,
I got the prize though.
you need.
No, I didn't.
I would have been like, "Do you win that for me? Am I getting that now? Like, have I done
Perkins, I'm not saying I'm gonna sue, but I'm just saying I want that prize.
I'm just saying I want a little monument that says Ant's Corner on here."
And then I did it in school, at the elementary school, the old elementary school. It's in North Lima. And the poor nurse was freaking out.
The poor nurse. Why was she a nurse if she couldn't handle it?
Well, and the school nurses aren't exactly like ready for a ER situation.
I thought you went to like a hot. Okay, you were at the
school nurse was like, oh my God, Anthony, what, are you okay?
I thought you like went to like a hospital and you like
no.
I'm like,
I meant the high school, the elementary school nurse back then.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
Those are probably the worst two injuries I've had, and then I broke my tailbone in middle school, which was not fun. You can't be comfortable with a broken tail, whether you're walking, you're sitting. There's no comfortable position ever. And I broke it because I fell down the bus stairs and bounced.
Oh, you took
boom,
a
boom. So it was like boom, 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 right down the stairs.
I didn't break my tailbone, but I bruised it because I was 12 the one time we were down in North Carolina riding go-karts, and I had my own go-kart, and I think I pressed the brake, but my big ass foot pressed the brake and the gas at the same time, so I full on collided with the wall. And I went straight up and then came right down on the seat super hard. And yeah, my tailbone was, I think, bruised because I was hurting the next couple of days. So I could kind of relate too, but broken one I think would be way worse. I feel for you on that.
All right. So before we take a break, I want to kind of shift this back up to a recaps and get us a little bit back on track because we went way off the rails.
But yeah, that was all because
because we talked about changing weather, fighting weather. That came from high school sports trying to fight weather. We somehow got into personal injuries.
Astro's up 2-0 though on Creekside. Right. That was
in Little League action. We had 3 games that were all extremely close and exciting. In 11U, 5-4, Boardman gets the win. They win the 11U Little League championship. In 12U, they walked it off with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 6th to win 3-2 over Poland, both over Poland. And then Little League softball for Boardman, they walked it off in the 8th again against Talmadge. Same situation. 8th inning, second extra inning. And Annie Velocin came up and just drilled the double to the wall. Emma Davies scores, and Boardman's going to play for a state championship tonight in Ashtabula against Clay. And you have Boardman baseball and 12U and 11U both moving on too, with really close victories over Poland.
Got to hear the boss man himself, DJ's call of the one walk-off last night. I was watching.
It was literally a walk-off.
Yeah, it was a walk that got a walk-off too. Boardman loaded the bases, I believe nobody out too, and was able to draw the walk to bring home that run. It was 2-2 going into that one. What a game too. I mean, what a game in the sixth.
That's what I mean. We talked about the joy of watching kids win a championship, but what else makes the doesn't sound right, but I'm gonna go with it. What else makes the Little League baseball so fun is the championship effort put out by a game like that. Like whether Poland won that game or Boardman won that game last night in both divisions, 11U and 12U, those kids just championship effort by both sides. Like they both won it so bad. There was not even 1 minute of that game where you thought they're not giving it their all. They're not, out there focused. It was an incredible performance of the mic just moved by. Did you see that?
It jumped.
It just teetered.
It jumped a little bit.
I think Casper the Friendly Ghost is in here. Anyway, but a championship effort on both sides. So we congratulate Poland on a really great season and a really great championship game. But we also congratulate Boardman on winning the championship in both 11U and 12U.
Great season for Poland. Nothing to be ashamed of course. But hey, at the end of the day, Boardman has reigned supreme too. And these Spartans, man, they're standing tall at the end of last night.
They're doing the whole Spartan kick.
They really are too. 300 of them with the shield batting down the hatches right now, man.
DJ Oakley will have more of a comprehensive recap of that game on the Power Hour. I'm sure he was there. He had a wonderful call, and he'll be able to give you a lot of takeaways from it and what he saw from his perspective. His story might be up pretty soon. I mean, he always does great post-game interviews, so make sure to keep your eyes out on our YouTube page and our website to check those out as well. But it was a great night of baseball as we crowned 2 district champions, and we have 2 more tonight.
More big games with more stakes on the line too, and it's gonna be so fun. Yeah, and not only Little League but Class B as well. So it continues to be exciting here on the network. We'll of course get into more of those game previews a little bit later in the show, but it continues to. It's like we said, not really a lot quantity wise that we've had on the network games wise, but the games we
high quality, like it's edge of your seat, championship on the line. What more can you ask for type games?
They'll keep your attention for sure. They'll keep your attention.
So let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll have more Running Point brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our family's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa.
And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing.
Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships.
We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team.
Your goals, our game plan.
Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com or find us on Facebook.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring PGA professionals, golf instruction, a players rewards club, kids programs, and a pro shop and grill room for a memorable golf experience. Call or click to schedule your tee time at Mill Creek Golf Course.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers. From sales to financing and even service, we'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Now is the time to think about your future, where you want to go, what you want to be. Your future can start now at Kent State Salem or Kent State East Liverpool. We have programs that will open doors and provide opportunities for you to pursue your passion. We are affordable, we are close. You call it hometown, we call it Kent State University. Learn more at www.kent.edu/Columbiana. You belong here. Reliability, innovation, scale. These three values are those we look forward to in our business and in our team. If you're ready for a reliable employer who looks constantly to think outside the box in big ways, we're ready for you. Apply now. Help us push the envelope and deliver success. Envelope 1. Take that one extra step.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bart. Whoa.
There we go.
Anthony Hartwig
You do it.
alongside.
You do it. I think you did that one. You
That
got
was on me because I left the broadcast and came back.
yeah. You pulled an old switcheroo up.
Switcheroo. I wanted to be tied for a little bit.
Yeah, no. But we enter into the second half of our show today now, and I mean, we still have some games coming up on the network tonight. We're still into a baseball, softball run, but like we said on yesterday's show, and we're going to continue previewing it. Start to expect some football, volleyball previews to be coming to this show here soon. We always like to get a head start on the next sports season, and it's always kind of been something we've done here on Running Point. As the other ones are still going, we still obviously put the spotlight on the baseball, softball season still going on right now, but we like to start looking ahead too and make sure we give a little bit of a preview for those fans that are eagerly waiting for the high school seasons to start again.
I get more and more super excited for fall sports as the days go on and we get closer and closer.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Ann, you're not excited so much for the weather change, but definitely to see some of these really talented area athletes to be back on these courts, these hardwoods, and these fields in just a few short weeks. It's going to be a great time to have some of these areas, high schools represented again in full force.
You know, I know this is totally random, but I just thought of it because you said the course, the court, the field. But you think about it, there are a lot of in fall. There's a lot of different descriptions of the surface that the sports play on. Volleyball court, football field, soccer pitch, cross country track. I guess you would call it a
cross country. A route, yeah, it's a terrain. It is a terrain that you're on.
A path, and then you go into golf, and it's a course, right? So, 5 different ways to say the surface that we play our sports on. Tennis is a court, less like volleyball, but.
And I think that's kind of why a lot of people really get excited for fall sports, because it's kind of your buffet of sports right out of the gate, right? Because all these high schools are in full operation. Because in basketball season, right, those courts are operating every single day, just about. But in football, volleyball season, every week it's okay. We got to get the court ready. We're gonna have to make sure the field's ready. The soccer fields too. Sometimes they'll have separate. Most of the times they're the same field too, so we got to make sure the field's ready for soccer today. We got to make sure it's ready for football on Friday, obviously. So there's a lot of work that goes into for these field crews, grounds crews, for a lot of these schools too. So a lot of work goes into getting all these things ready for these area athletes. And big shout out to all those people too, like Mill Creek Park and what Brian Tolnar does over there to make sure that that course is always ready for the number of schools that participate there.
It's the most adverse season because you have football, volleyball, golf, cross country, soccer, which none of those sports really have much to do with each other. But then in winter, you got boys and girls basketball and wrestling, and then in the fall, in the spring, you have baseball, softball, track, and then in some schools, lacrosse. And then in the fall, it's like, hey, we have volleyball, football, golf, soccer,
Spring wants to become like that too, because rugby is. I think Cheney also did their rugby season in the spring, so they're trying to bring rugby, lacrosse, all that into spring. Bring a lot of those European sports and a lot of those international sports that we see played into the spring season.
I want to see a high school rugby game.
Rugby is so much fun to watch. I haven't seen it in the high school realm, but rugby is so much fun to watch. I'd love to see more area teams start participating.
Spring cricket.
I would love this. Let's just get some Olympic sports. I want to see some fencing teams. Let me see some high school fencing teams would be awesome. And tell me they wouldn't be. They would be really fun to watch.
Fencing with lightsabers.
Oh, that would. They're just all wearing that kind of gear. That'd be. No, but how about that too? You brought up the wrestling thing, girls wrestling and boys volleyball. I believe that's this year.
Those are 2 additions.
That takes
into boys volleyball will be in the spring seasons.
It would make sense because you need to be able to give something else, I think, for those track and field stars and those baseball. Some participate in both, too, but the ones that don't play baseball, I think it's going to be – because I feel like a lot of basketball stars, some of them go to track, some of them go to baseball, but there's a decent amount I feel like that don't do anything in the spring sports season. So I feel like that's a great sport too, where stats are similar to basketball too, and I mean you still play on the hardwood court as well.
I'm not too familiar with the OHSA rules on this, so I'm gonna kind of put it out in the universe and see if anyone has corrections or super clarifications on it. But if you go to a school that doesn't offer boys volleyball, but a school close to you does, can you participate on that school's boys volleyball team?
It feels like it would be right because we've seen it in other sports, right?
Let's say a student at South Range wants to play boys volleyball, but Canfield offers it. Just throwing out because Canfield's pretty close to South Range. Can he go beyond Canfield's volleyball team and still be a student at South Range?
I could look up and see if OHSA has any clarifications. That's a good question.
That goes with any sport. That like your school doesn't offer, but someone close does.
What was Didn't United just not that they had someone that went to a different school, but didn't United only have like one participant in a sport this season? What was it? Or maybe it wasn't United. One of our schools, I think, only had it was an individualistic sport, but I think they only had the one participant that represented their school too, which was awesome. But I feel like at the end of the day, if you're doing this for the kids, you need to give them the opportunity to play sports at any level. And if your school doesn't offer it, I don't see a problem in letting them play for another school as long as that school is doing its due diligence to make sure that that athlete stays healthy. The coaches are in connection and talks to make sure that there's good relationships there too.
That's a interesting question, I think. And I honestly don't have the exact answer to that.
And wrestling. I'm just gonna see if we have any rules to that to add girls wrestling and boys volleyball. This came back on January too. I don't know if it says anything on they've been conducting. It just said girls wrestling tournament, boys volleyball tournament, which is the edition of that. Yeah, it's not really saying anything. 14 boys sports and 14 girls sports are now offered and for OHSAA.
It's all Title IX.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything that says. Let me see if I could get like a whole story. But anyway, just to continue this conversation though, and I feel like if there's a situation like that, it would make the most sense to allow geographically, if they're a close school and your school doesn't offer the sport.
I think it has to be a neighboring district. So I don't like if you're south. If we'll just go back to the South Range example, if you're a student at South Range, you can't go play for a Trummen's County team, right?
I go up to St. Ignatius.
I go play, men's volleyball at St. Ignatius up in, it can't be that. But I think if it's a neighboring district, you're allowed to go and play. I think sometimes there have been, if for whatever reason that program can't put up a girls basketball program, then you'll see a student go to a neighboring district to play on their girls basketball team, something like that. So I think it has to be a neighboring district, but it's allowed if it's a neighboring district, I think.
I wasn't seeing any clarification in the thing I just read over. Granted, I skimmed through it too, and I was looking for any kind of keywords and just reading through it real quickly.
And it wouldn't count as a transfer because you're still enrolled in the other school.
Yeah. So I feel like I wouldn't see an issue with it, but at the end of the day, you already have the facilities, the capabilities to offer these sports. All schools do, right? That already offer wrestling and volleyball for the girls.
No, because remember, you have to keep it balanced. So if you offer boys volleyball in the spring, you either you have to make sure you can't just say, hey, we're just going to add boys volleyball, because then it'd be uneven with boys and girls. So I think you have to keep it even with Title IX.
How many?
I don't think it's as easy as just adding a team.
Well, what I'm saying, like wrestling wise, you could just add the girls wrestling team right into winter. Just pop it right. Girls are already participating on wrestling.
Because then you'd have girls and boys. The reason we get before that, you got away with it because wrestling was co-ed technically, so girls could be on the team. Yeah. But now you have a girls team, girls basketball, boys basketball, wrestling. So
does that mean that volleyball has to get moved to the fall then?
Well, let's see. In the spring, like most of our schools would have softball, baseball, track is co-ed. So if you because like Canfield has a girls lacrosse team, that must balance out.
Unless you, well, can you?
I'm not a master at Title IX and what the details are.
Well, technically, they don't have to. They just have to be offered in the same calendar year, right? Because we have girls tennis that happens in the fall and boys tennis in the spring. So what can girls participate in? Because you could just move boys tennis to the fall, couldn't you? And then just put boys volleyball.
I guess you could do that as long as your boys tennis team doesn't make fall uneven.
Well, how is spring even right now then with the boys tennis team, co-ed track and field, and then baseball, softball?
Well, I guess if you have a girls lacrosse team, then you would have a boys.
True, that is right. Girls lacrosse is in it. I didn't think about that. But you would have to, you're right, you would have to move that.
Excuse me.
I don't know how many girls sports, I don't know. They would have to do some shifting, but that is an interesting conversation. Wrestling, I feel like, is easy. Girls wrestling is easy. Boys volleyball is going to be interesting. I think is the interesting discussion point of.
Well, before you even talk about like how do we make a team, you have to see, do we have enough people interested in our district that would be that we could field the team? Then do we have someone that would want to coach it?
I think though, and the big thing is with these, I feel like boys volleyball has been something a lot of the boys have been asking for in high school for quite some time. They've been wanting to have volleyball teams. We see how excited they get for those student teacher volleyball games. It seems like the boys will play in any kind of exhibition volleyball game, and it's always a popular thing for a lot of these schools. I feel like it's something that a lot of boys have been asking for, and I mean, girls wrestling's been something that's kind of been in the making. It's been co-ed, like you said, for years, so that's kind of felt like it's been in the making. But boys volleyball seems like something they've been asking for.
Pre-COVID, when I used to go to practices to do coaches' corners and player profiles in person, before we did the video interviews like we do now with StreamYard, you went to the school and you conducted them in person with your phone. I remember going to volleyball practices at various different spots, and at each one, maybe once or twice a week, there'd be 3 or 4 guys that would come in and practice with the team because one, it helps your girls deal with speed, high velocity hits and things that they can do, high vertical leap, things like that, and it ups the value of your team. But then it also shows that in these districts there are guys that are competent at least at volleyball, that know the sport and want to play it.
Absolutely,
and until now, the only avenue for that was, at least in your school, to go practice with the high school team.
This is going to be an interesting thing to talk about because as of right now, OHSAA's site currently has boys volleyball in their sports and tournaments tab, but it's not something that they have any kind of information on right now. So like when you click on it too, or when I get the link for it, it just says it's an emerging sport beginning this year, and then there's content coming soon for this year. So they don't even have everything figured out right now. But you got to imagine if it's happening in the fall that they're going to have to talk about it, because at the end of the day, you can't just put the season wherever you want for your school.
I don't think boys volleyball is happening in the fall. I would imagine it would be like the states that have softball in this fall and baseball in the spring. It would probably be boys volleyball in the spring and girls volleyball in the fall, I would imagine.
Just wonder how adding boys volleyball to the spring keeps the spring even. Unless girls lacrosse is just because it's offered in the spring, it makes it even right now at all schools,
You might be right though. It might just have to be even across the board, not even in
the school year. As long as you offer this amount of sports to each student throughout a school year, as long as this number is available to them. I think it could be that, because if you got to figure in, if it was happening in the fall, they'd have to have this information out already, because teams would have to start getting schedules at least put together somewhat by now.
ADs have to have these conversations at length.
I think also too, you bring it up.
Remember that.
You don't want to take any of the crowd away, I think, from girls volleyball, because there's already a big crowd for the football games on Friday.
Like, how would you find room to have a boys volleyball season with a girls volleyball season in the fall?
The beautiful thing is there's nothing is taking up the court in the spring, because girls volleyball is in the fall. You got basketball in the winter. That's obviously out with wrestling too. but there's nothing really happening on your courts in the spring. So you have to you keep that functioning the entire school year, and you move boys volleyball to then. I think it's a good move. The only question I have is going to be, what is going to be the start time? Are they going to put it off, putting at like 7:00? That way you can go to baseball games and then go right to volleyball games.
If it's like girls volleyball, they'll probably have a JV and varsity team, and just have the JV start at 5:30 and the varsity starts after.
Yeah, I would figure that would be the case,
That
because
would make logical sense. That's what every court gymnasium game is like.
Baseball, softball can keep it at 5 p.m. starts, and that way you give time to go to those volleyball games as well, especially if they're at the same venue. Interesting, though, because there's going to be those teams that have the lights as well for baseball. You might see them kind of switch it too. You might see volleyball start earlier and baseball go under the lights, field conditions pending, obviously. But
how many baseball teams have lights? Like, even in our coverage.
Yeah, there's not a whole ton.
Fitch and the teams that play home games at Scene Park, right?
Yeah. Well,
I see anybody.
I don't know. I felt like there's more teams that have lights than that too. I could be wrong. I'll have to do a deeper dive on that one for the ones that have lights. I feel like there's been a couple of teams I've seen that have lights, at least in their stadium. But outside of that too, that's the only thing I would think timing wise. You're going to have to just push those to 7:00 starts, the volleyball matchups, just so you could make sure you give adequate time for baseball, softball too.
I imagine the volleyball season for the boys would be very similar to the girls in the sense that they're playing a lot of games in a small period of time. Because
they're probably playing like all of like April or May, like probably all of April, and then May starts tournaments. You would think.
Like, you're in volleyball in the fall, you are starting in August 20th this year, for example, and I think the tournament draw is like the first weekend of October, and the tournament starts the second weekend of October. So you're done in like a month and a half with your regular season, because you're playing usually 4 games a week, whether it be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or whether it be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, whatever it may be. You're usually playing at least 4 matches a week, and if you're in a tri-match, you're probably playing 5 matches in a week.
It'll probably follow softball, baseball. It'll probably start right at the end of March, and then it'll just conclude a little bit earlier, beginning of May, probably. Like, that's when your tournaments, your championship tournaments are going to happen, is right at that first, maybe second week of May. I would assume, at least. I mean, obviously, what do I know? We'll have to get more information once OHSAA releases all of it, but that would be my initial thoughts on what they're going to do for that fall sport. The first thing we're going to see, though, first is girls wrestling in the winter. That's going to be the first new sport that's going to be added.
If any of our schools have boys volleyball, wouldn't that be cool? Because then YSN could say, hey, if it rains out, we still have a broadcast, because we can just hop over to the gym and broadcast the boys volleyball game.
I see more opportunity for all-star games too, as well. Down the road, right? How can you not? So it should be exciting times going forward, as we always love more sports here on YSN.
Weather can't stop you inside if you're an indoor sport in the spring. So
I'm always cool utilizing these beautiful gyms that these high schools have. I've been in a number of them. I'm all for keeping them running year round.
Let's get a beach volleyball league.
Oh my God! You want to throw sand out here with all the rain we just had? You want to throw sand?
Excuse me. Did you?
You talked about the Spartans earlier too, and referencing the movie 300. These kids are going to look like they came from the movie 300 after they go through a wet sand match for beach volleyball. The sand just becomes sandpaper. Then you can't do that.
Okay. Back to where I was before I had a massive coughing spell. I don't know, like, it's been floating around the internet all week. There's a massive, really good volleyball volley in beach volleyball, so that's why it was on my mind.
You're watching. I mean, beach volleyball is cool.
It was like a 3-minute volley. You know how hard that is with just 2 people on a beach volleyball court?
We're gonna have to talk with Brian Tonar, the sand expert too, that knows a lot about like the sands that you encounter in golf. Because I feel like we don't have a soft sand up here in Ohio. Our sand is not soft; it is coarse.
You can make it. You just kind of hose it down and it's soft. Boom.
Yeah, there you go. Ant's the sand expert. Ant will be the field crew for the beach.
I'll be the field. I'll get
it. He's got the beach volleyball. Just soaks the sand down. But that's going to be exciting too, to see boys volleyball in full swing in the we assume the spring, and then of course girls wrestling we assume is going to be in the winter. But more to come once we hear from OHSA, once they of course release any more press releases regarding further information on that. But fall sports is going to be loaded too, and they're just loading up winter and spring some more now. So I mean, those seasons, they're getting up there with the fall sports as far as just the amount of types of sports you could see in spring, with the addition of like lacrosse, rugby, and now if they add boys volleyball, spring's going to be just like fall. You go in with a bang, you end with a bang.
Girls wrestling won't be too different because there already is girls wrestling. It's a sanctioned tournament. Now it's just going to be sanctioned by the OHSAA as a actual tournament that we're holding separate from the boys.
Which is a long time coming. I think it's been long overdue to have this, and I'm glad that they have it now. And we're going to be able to start recognizing the phenomenal wrestling talent on the girls' side as well, with some state champions.
State champions, let's go.
Les champions.
Les champions.
No, but yeah, that's going to be exciting. But coming up with this fall sports, like we said, and we're going to be starting your football, volleyball, soccer, tennis, all those, cross country, whatever we can get previews coming in for you for the fall sports just before the start of the season.
I got some teams on my wish list. I want to talk that aren't the sports that we already cover heavily. Like I want to talk a little bit with McDonald cross country, and I want to talk a little bit with Ursuline girls tennis, and I want to talk a little bit with all the volleyball teams. But then soccer, I think we're going to dive deeper into soccer. We had a pretty good amount of interviews with soccer last year, and we've made some good contacts. I think some of our friends we're going to have to get back on pretty soon. Coach Kosak from Springfield, West Branch was a great utility. Obviously, Coach Bailey, who is going into a new position now with the Canfield boys program over there in soccer land. So it's gonna be fun to reach out to some of our old buddies in the soccer community that we made last year.
Yeah, we're definitely excited for it. We're also excited for bringing in new contacts as well, and always looking to bring in new faces to shine a light on some of these teams too, because there's plenty of teams we've gotten a chance to cover, but there's plenty more out there we want to get introduced to as well and get a deep dive in as well. So we're excited for the upcoming season. We're excited to start highlighting some fall sports here coming up real soon.
There are also some teams that are getting some new facilities that we're excited to see for the first time.
A lot of teams, I think, have gone to turf, too, over the course of this year. So we're going to see a lot of turf football fields in the area as well, which is, I think, going to be very interesting.
More and more. I think it's starting to dominate. I think there's going to be more there might be more turf fields than not after this fall.
What's your opinion on that one, real quick, Andy? You a fan of the turf football
turf
field?
For football? Yes.
You like turf for football way more?
Makes sense. Or at least not the AstroTurf, not the old like Minnesota Vikings AstroTurf. Let's not go that far, but the turf they use now, it just makes more sense.
I like it too. I know a lot of the old school people always are going to fight a little for grass and dirt.
In the devil's advocate, I don't think there's anything better than a good old-fashioned mud bowl.
Oh,
and you're not going to get that with turf.
You're not, and that's what I think a lot of the old coaches and old timers really hate. They love seeing those jerseys dirty, and you kind of get deprived of like the dirty jerseys and the hard day's work that's put in on the gridiron for a great Friday night game.
But it's easier to maintain. You don't have to have a field crew out there making sure the field's okay. You don't have to line it every week, and I know there are some schools that had trouble lining it, and field conditions don't become an issue, don't become a factor when there's turf. So I think it's a lot nicer, and I think that's why a lot more schools have opted to go for it. It also helps out every sports program that plays outside, because your soccer, they get to practice on turf, they get to play on turf. Even in the spring, when maybe it's not raining but the field isn't okay, the baseball and softball teams can go practice on the football turf. So it helps out almost every sports program that you have that plays outside.
I think it's been very useful, because I've seen a multitude of sports in the spring, like you said, and utilize it, and even conduct games on some of these fields.
Oh yeah, Campbell plays softball in their football field.
which is absolutely awesome. I think to be efficient like that, but it's crazy how it's able to work and line up like that. But they're able to make it work, and that's like you said too. And I mean, it's just you finding multiple uses for having a turf field.
The turf field in Camel is beautiful, by the way. So if you haven't been out there for a football game,
I haven't been
you
out there
should
for
get
a
out
football game, but I have.
know.
I've seen Camel's turf, and Camel has some really nice facilities.
It's got the I want to say watermelon sounds like it's a negative context, but it's got that watermelon, dark green, light green, and then the red. So it looks like a watermelon.
I love the way it sits too, like on that hill. That hill's right there too. I love the way that stadium sits. It's on
a hill, so you're gonna be playing Kate Bush.
Wait,
while you're going up that hill.
You're telling me that you're telling me that something in Camel has a hill?
No, come on.
Camel has hills? What?
New City? No way.
But yeah, Camel's facilities.
Running up that hill.
We have so many gorgeous facilities though in our coverage map that I've gotten a chance to see, and you've gotten a chance to see, and I'm excited to see the renovations that are going to be done at some of them that have been occurring over this summer.
Mm-hmm. Mineral Ridge has got their debut last season. It looks amazing.
Mineral Ridge was slick. I got a chance to see a couple of games in Mineral Ridge. It was fun.
I think Mooney's still playing their home games there this year.
I believe so as well, which was a huge shock last year too that they weren't going to be sharing YSU with Ursuline anymore.
And I don't think Mineral Ridge is on the top of people's list of the schools they'd expect to go to.
But hey, Mooney saw what we didn't see maybe initially off the jump, because once everyone saw that Mineral Ridge Stadium, they were like, "Wow!"
I think it worked pretty well.
They made a good choice. Good choice, Mooney.
I think both parties were pretty happy with it. Mineral Ridge was happy that they got to host all those people for 2 nights, and then Mooney was happy because the facilities were so great, and they got to kind of probably a little bit of an expense break from what it cost for Stambaugh. So I think both sides were pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and it was a great agreement for both sides too. And like you said, Ann, it looks like it's going to continue into this season as well.
And I just saw that Mooney got fitted today for their new helmets from Rydell, and the look is the same. It's still the white helmet with the cardinal and the burgundy faceback, but you can't change that icon like that. But their updated helmets, they just look so slick.
You love to see those subtle slight changes to update it, but still keep it the same as well.
They look like the new NFL helmets now. They got the almost the curve in the back of the head instead of just round. It kind of stops and goes back down.
Those are nice to see too. Those are absolutely nice.
And they're safer. Like the more helmet developments come out, the more they're using them to prevent concussions in football. So every time we can get a football team in the area with the latest helmet, that's a win for the safety of the players.
Especially when we see the case that with the updated looks too. We've seen a lot of teams not only update the helmets, update jerseys too, update these looks, just kind of go with a more modernized look. And hey, these kids love it too. And I've been loving the looks. They've been slick. I think too, to get off on my basketball tangent, I think some of these girls basketball teams have some of the best looking unis.
Yeah, Waterloo's
up there. Western Reserve. I love Western Reserve with that pitchfork on the pants too. I love that color scheme. I think those are really cool. I love Jackson Milton's. I'm just I don't know. Maybe it's just the MVAC Scarlet side that I really love the looks of their jerseys.
Jackson Milton's girls look good in every sport. Like their softball unis, the all black, the font was really good. Cool. And then the basketball always looked fly, and now their volleyball team is going to look pretty good too.
Jackson Milton has the feathers. I think Sebring, don't they have they have like the Trojan swords, I think, down the sides of the pant legs too, which are really cool. I like utilizing
and those. They have the Trojan sword as their stripe down the helmet too.
That is,
if you look at the back of their helmet,
you're right.
The hilt is on the back of the helmet.
Do you have obviously South Range is going to be up there, but do you have like a favorite football helmet look that you'd go off right off the top? Like an iconic football helmet locally that you'd have to go with?
There are a lot that I really like, but if I had to pick one, and this is because I love black on blue. I like that matchup. And I love Lisbon's pitchfork with the blue helmet and the black pitchfork.
That is a good
It's
one.
pretty much it's like Arizona State's except a different color scheme with the pitchfork going up the side. But I mean, we have one in the office, and it's so slick to look at. I obviously love blue.
Yeah, we know that,
and
yeah.
I think black goes really well on top of blue. So I love the color scheme of that. So I think Lisbon's really sweet. I liked Ursuline's new green with the state of Ohio and the shamrock on the Youngstown. That was pretty cool.
I honestly I think that's one I was gonna go with. I really liked Ursuline's helmet. I think Ursuline's helmets looks.
We've had this discussion before. I like the original one, like the ones that are pretty original. Like those are the ones that really get me. I liked Springfield because it says Tigers down the side, and it would have been easy for Springfield to just put that Missouri logo and put it on the side and be like, hey, that's our helmet. But they didn't go that route. So they went to an original Tigers font down the side of the helmet, which I appreciate. I really like Hubbard. Their eagle looks a little bit like Philly, but then they hold the whole face. They don't have. It would have been easy for Hubbard just to do the wings like Philadelphia, right? But they didn't. They said, hey, we're going to go with our own individual logo and put it on the side of the helmet, and it's going to be original. So I like originality when they don't take the easy way out of making a helmet.
I like. I mean, you talk about originality. LeBray with the Vikings. I mean, they didn't do the Viking horns like they could have either. I think they have They have the red helmet with the Vikings, and I think it goes really well with that. With the gray that they have as well.
Yes, LeBray always looks good. I like the Crestview at first was like, oh, I don't know if this changes if I'm feeling it, but the silver helmets were starting to wear me down.
You're not a fan.
At first, I wasn't. At first, I was like, I don't know. But I think I was so used to playing because we played Crestview every year when I was in high school. I was so used to the black helmet and the yellow CR look, and it's kind of black is always intimidating, right? So when you're going up against a good team and they come out in black on black on black on black, it's like, oh man, they're that cool. You want to smack off of them. But I'm starting to dig the silver a little bit.
You're a big fan of the silver look, huh?
It's wearing on me. It's wearing on me.
I'm a big fan too of. You talk about the black helmet look. I think Garrettsville Garfield's look is really cool too. I like the double G's, and I think they look real clean too on a black helmet as well.
South Range went from the shiny burgundy to the matte, and I think that was a good change. I like the matte burgundy.
I do like that a lot better for South Range too. I mean that's a good look. I'm so excited too because a lot of these teams. Some of them change them up too, and they're really cool looks. But I'm excited to see all these updated stadiums, these new looks for some of these teams, jersey wise, football, helmet wise. It's gonna be a fun season.
Ursuline's had a lot in the last couple of years. I kind of also like the white helmets with the big green shamrock that kind of takes up the whole side.
Yeah, those ones were cool. I don't know. The gold just I don't know. The gold I'm a big fan of the gold.
The gold's iconic. Like when I think Ursuline, I still think green jerseys with the gold dome helmet with the green face.
How can you not, right? Like that gold.
That's when they were in their heyday. They were winning state championships. They were in that gold helmet with the green. And it's just
out in gold, man. They were all gold.
Like when I think Ursuline, I think of Keith Teague in that uniform just running up and down a field like it was his job.
Talking about good uniforms too, we talk about Ursuline softball team. I love Ursuline soft. They are. You want to talk about standing out Ursuline softball team? I love the looks of that green uniform.
I kind of like last year. I liked their whites with the block Ursuline almost and the cross on the sleeve.
Dig that one, huh?
I kind of like whites on white. They look clean.
I mean. White on white, huh? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to picture all of them. I'm trying to think.
And I think the best color that goes with white, like as far like this is blue. I say blue on white. So I think if you have that leaf gold on top of white, that's my money spot right there. I like that.
I like gold being implemented into into those kind of color schemes too. Gold with like grays, blacks, whites. I think a little bit of gold really works out well.
You never thought gold would go with green, but Ursuline pulls it off.
Oh, they do a great job with it too. They find a perfect way to make that all work out.
Like, and they don't, for most of their uniforms, they don't go to that dark green that probably pops a little bit better with orange. I mean, with gold. They use, your grass green, like that Ursuline uniform for softball. It's your, typical middle of the spectrum green with gold on it. It looks fly.
I love those kind of uniforms too. Those ones are iconic, and you're gonna get a chance to see all of them this upcoming fall again too, and that's the most exciting part.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we'll preview what's going on tonight around the area and around the network, and talk about some of these matchups next on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
It's a new year at Acura of Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi with huge savings on over 350 fully inspected vehicles. We have cars, trucks, SUVs, minivans, and work vehicles. We don't have it, our team will find it. We aim for 100% credit approval with payments as low as $99 per month. And as always, we'll pay top dollar for your trade. For a great vehicle and a great experience, come see why everyone is stopping by at Acura Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting, where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education, and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
Being able to have success on the football field and the basketball court and just every aspect of, my sports career is now documented. One of the greatest things about high school sports is to be able to talk about it for the rest of your life and to look back on the days with my buddies whenever we would have some battles, whether it was with our rival or just another game, and I could go back and look at it, and not only myself but my family members, my teammates, and it's something that will last a lifetime. My name is Parker Sherry, and my sports network is your sports network.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hardwick alongside Ty Bartell. And Ty, we got some pretty important games to talk about tonight. As far as we'll start with Class B baseball in Game 3 of the championship series. The Astro Falcons have a 2-0 lead in that series as they ramble into tonight. What are you looking at? What are you looking for in this game, and what kind of things can you expect from both teams?
I mean, you just expect a battle. These are the two top teams in 18U. They've been battling the first two games of the series. It was a 1-run game 2 nights ago, a 3-run game last night, but it all came with 4 runs by Astro in the last inning. I expect another close one tonight because that's exactly what these two teams have showcased. I think it all comes down to who each team brings on the mound and who's on the bump for each team, because both these teams have a multitude of pitchers that they can go to and ultimately trust going into it. But honestly, I look at the stats for Creekside and some of the pitchers that they've been utilizing all season. We already saw Bunch start in Game 1. There's a few guys that have logged some big innings this season. Braden D'Angelo is one for them as well. We already saw Zach Luciano last night pitch a bunch of innings too, so you would think he's done. I know D'Angelo pitched an inning, but you would think he's still available because he only threw, I think, 22. That's your big inning logger this year, too. Mark Bunch has thrown 45. D'Angelo's thrown 41. I would expect to see him get some time if he has available pitch
Remember, Bunch threw the complete game on Sunday.
Yeah, so there's
he might be toast for tonight.
He's definitely probably toast. So you're looking for a big performance that way. And then, of course, for Astro, they have a bunch of guys that have logged innings. Joe Roth's been the biggest one for them, logging 37 innings on the mound too. And I don't think Joe Roth has appeared in a game yet
I
today.
think he's ready to go tonight.
You're looking for Joe Roth, who's having a great season, 37 in the third innings, 1.31 ERA. He struck out 48. He's doing it all. 6-1 record this year as well. He's been one of the aces for Astro, and he's going to continue it going into this series. You would think Joe Roth is likely going to be on the bump for it. If not this game, he's definitely going to be on for game 4.
If Creekside can win tonight, they should be set up to have Mark Bunch pitch in game 4.
That's the big thing. You just got to. Tonight's the biggest one for you, right? The night.
Oh yeah, duh. Because if you lose, you're done.
Yeah, but
every game going forward is probably the biggest for Creekside.
You got this one, but then your pitchers are good for the next 2.
Right.
So you're set up for this one. You're going to have to deal with probably a little bit of not pitching depletion, I guess, as far as what you got available to go to tonight. You're going to be depleted pitching wise going into this, but. Hey, if you could get a good performance by D'Angelo, he can battle, give you a chance to win. You got a much not easier ship to sail, but you got one of the best arms available for Thursday's game.
If you're Creekside and you're looking at this matchup tie, both games you were right there. The differences in both, in my opinion, were the walks drawn. So you just have to try to stay away from free bases and giving the Falcons that free base runner.
Yeah, and you obviously don't want to leave anything over the plate for them to hit, but you got to try to let them earn their way on. And, I mean, free passes, Astros too good of a team. They're going to eventually burn you for it, and that's what we saw last night.
I mean, they walked, how many times last night?
10 batters, 10 walks for Astros.
Yeah, 10 walks last night, 6 in the first game. So in 2 games of the series, the Astro Falcons have drawn 16 walks.
You look at that in pitch count terms, that's a minimum of 40 pitches that you're throwing from your pitchers. A minimum.
Now, the fact that all that is true and Creekside has been in both those games is a testament to Creekside. But imagine if you took those away, if you took half of those away and said, hey, we had 8 in 2 games and we took 4 in each on average, Creekside might be up 2-0. Who knows? So if you take away the walks, easier said than done. I hate the people that are like, just throw strikes. Thanks, bud. That's what I was out here trying to throw balls.
It's easy to throw strikes. It's hard to throw quality strikes. And that's the thing. Right. People say just throw strikes. Well, yeah, all of them can throw it down the plate. They're not trying to throw it down the middle of the plate, though.
All right, here's a strike for you.
Yeah,
home run.
All of these guys, all of these pitchers just about are capable of throwing a strike almost every time. Like, it's quality strikes that they're hunting for.
All right, here comes my strike.
Yeah, here comes a strike.
Hey, at least it was a strike, right? I threw it down the middle, but it was a strike.
That's the thing, folks. Hits are strikes too. Base hits are considered strikes too, thrown. So
any contact is a strike, even if it's foul.
Yeah. So let's be mindful of that going forward.
Be mindful of your feelings. They can betray you. So yeah, I think that for Creekside, got to try to stay away from the walks. And if you play the same way you did otherwise in the last 2, you'll give yourself opportunities to win.
You got to go in there ready for a battle. There's no
How confident do you think they are tonight? Because they've lost 2 heartbreakers, but at the same point, you got to go in tonight feeling like we're so close, we're right there. So how confident do you think Creekside is going into tonight that they can make some noise before this series is over?
I don't know if confident is the right word. I think you just kind of go into this one. You're obviously, I feel like they're still upset from last night. I don't understand how you're not
probably still upset from Sunday night.
Yeah, you're still a little bit upset, and I think they're lying if they're saying they're not a little bit upset about the way last night is. But you just kind of got to go in there, and I don't want to say take it with a I don't care mentality because you obviously care, but you got to go in there and just leave it all out. Like, we're gonna do what we can. We can control what we can control. We're going to go out there, leave everything out there, and try to get a win, right? You just got to go out there with nothing else matters. We're going to leave everything we got. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We're going to play our best guys and our best against your best. Let's see what happens, right? We're trying to get 1 win at a time, and I think that's the biggest thing. Creekside's got to go 1 win at a time, 1 pitch at a time, because this is an Astro lineup that's too good. And if D'Angelo is the one that's starting, he's already known that there's no breaks in this lineup. You don't get to take off for a hitter. Everyone is a battle. You're going to have to go in there ready to battle every single batter that steps in that box.
And you got to be able to be confident. Like, if you come into this game and you're even a little bit unsure of yourself, that Astro team is so good, they're going to eat you alive. So you got to come into the night confident, even though you've lost 2 and they were tough and, you're probably a little bit deflated. You got to come in tonight acting like you're up 2-0 in the series.
Use that anger, though. Use that upset to as a chip on your shoulder. Let it benefit you. I mean, you use that anger to think that you should have won those last 2 games, right? Shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't happen. Now you have your back against the wall. Your season's on the line. What are you going to do now? You're going to finish the games like you could have the last 2 nights, or are you going to let it falter? That's kind of the mentality I feel like you got to go in with your Creekside. Go in pissed. Go in pissed that you didn't get the job done the last 2 days.
We're going to learn a lot about that dugout tonight on how that game goes, because it could go one of 2 ways. Like last night, it could go they come back and they fight like crazy to try to get a win, or they could run out of gas and the dams could overflow, and then all of a sudden the Astro Falcons run away with Game 3. So I think we're going to learn a lot about the fortitude and the mental toughness of this Creekside team tonight.
This is where some coaches too, in these situations, at least in the pros, this is where they say pressure's all on them. They have to go out and win a championship. We're fighting for our season live, sure, but we're just going out there to win to play tomorrow. They're fighting for a championship. All the pressure's on them right now.
It's true. Like that, it's a time when you can throw everything you got at them.
You're not fighting for a championship in this game. You're just fighting for your life. You're fighting to play tomorrow. They're fighting for a championship. Pressure's on them.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top for that one. We have 2 matchups of the Battle of 224 tonight in Little League Baseball, 9U and 10U, both Canfield versus Poland. Both Canfield needing a win to clinch the championship, Poland needing a win to clinch the if game tomorrow night. That is going to be at 6 and 8 o'clock on L1. DJ Oakley will have the call on both of them on ysnlive.com. But yeah,
Poland's got to be like, please no more heartbreakers. Don't give us another heartbreaker. Please don't. I mean, if we're going to lose, just don't let it be in heartbreaking fashion.
Poland's like, give us something. Give us a win. Come on,
universe. Just one win, please.
They're in all 4 of the championships, and they've lost 2 of them in heartbreaking fashion.
And they were games that they could have absolutely won. So Poland's definitely 100% hoping in these games. Just please give us one of these wins. Let's get a win here.
These young guns are like, all right, guys, I got this. Like, we'll save the day. We'll put the cape on.
Poland's been absolutely impressive, too, with as many games as they've been into championship-wise, and they've competed in every single one of them. They could have come out with 2 wins last night, but, yeah, they're definitely – Poland community's definitely looking for a win tonight to kind of get them back on track after last night.
In 10U, these 2 teams played on Friday night, and Canfield won 8-6 in a close game. And then in 9U, let's see if they played – I think they did. In 9U, they played on Friday as well, and Canfield won 7-0. So one of the divisions, Canfield has been dominant. The other one, it was a tight game the first time around, and Poland looking to just make those couple extra plays to get a win and force an if game tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm excited to see who makes the adjustments going forward.
We also want to wish the best of luck to Boardman's 12U softball team. They won last night over Talmadge in a walk-off in extras as Addie Volison hit a double to the wall in left field to score Emma Davies in the bottom of the 8th inning to win 3-2. And they're going up against Clay. And it's for the state championship. Not like districts. We've talked about this yesterday. This time it's winner take all. There's no if game. You don't have to beat them twice. It's win championship. That's it. Boardman, Clay, either one of them wins, they win a state championship, and they will go to regionals in Whitestown, Indiana. I believe the start date for that is July 25th, if I'm not mistaken.
Got to shape Clay, right? Got to mold him up, right?
Clay won the last matchup on Sunday, but I'm pretty sure because Emma Davies pitched the whole game against Talmadge in the first matchup in the extra innings, she could not pitch in that second game. So it should be a Emma Davies pitch game tonight for Boardman. They took her out in the 6th because that's what Little League softball rules are. You pitch 6, you're fine to go the next day. It's you pitch in the extras, then you have to take a 24-hour break. So they replaced Emma Davies after the 6th inning last night. So she is good to go tonight. She'll be in the circle for Boardman, and state championship on the line. You want your best. You want to put your best foot forward, and that's what Boardman's going to try to do in Ashtabula. 6 o'clock start time.
Our guy Fred Moots is probably looking at Emma Davies like, I cannot wait to have her donning some Spartan gear here with this varsity team.
I mean, it's Boardman in the blood, right? Because
What kind of-
her mom Marissa won a state championship with Boardman in 2001.
What kind of name would you make for yourself? You win the state championship, you could start getting on national levels then. Like a name you could make for yourself before. And just look at the pitching inside the AAC right now. Boy, oh boy, this conference is going to get really exciting.
Well, you win here today, you go from state to regionals in Indiana. And then, you win that bracket, you're going to the Little League World Series.
At 12U too. Like that's at such a young age to be able to make such a noise too. And if I'm not mistaken, Aunt, what's her age? Is she 12 or 13 right now?
You got to be. Yeah, I don't know if she's 11 or 12, but you have to be 12 or under.
So it's 12 or under. It's the year under. I couldn't remember if it was year and one up or year and one down. So it's year and one down. I'm just trying to think of where she lines up school wise, because I'm trying to think of how many great pitchers are going to be in this AAC at one time.
Well, you got a couple years behind her. You got Mila Hamley from Austintown rocking it too.
So I can't wait till all these girls make it to the varsity level, and all the ones that are going to be coming up to the varsity level. All these programs are going to be so excited. Freshman year, we've seen so many of these young girls that have already put up some really, really eye-opening numbers and really have introduced themselves to us too, and made us remember their names already at such a young age. So once they step foot on those fields too for their high school games, it's going to be really exciting.
Then you got Camarina and Canfield.
Just all over, stacked conference.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
And then, of course,
so once again, best of luck to the Boardman softball team tonight as they go for the state championship in Ashtabula against Clay. And we also wish the best of luck to the teams playing in districts tonight. And TJ Oakley will be on the call there. 9U and 10U games at Field of Dreams at 6 and 8 o'clock respectively on L1. And then Matt Mayer will have the call from Scene Park for the Game 3 of the Class B championship in 18U between Creekside and Astro Falcons. We're going to take a 22-hour break like we always do. We'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 2 on the network. Anthony's going to have dilated eyes because he's got an eye appointment in the morning. So Anthony might be blind tomorrow for at least half the show, but we will go on and wait. We have a comment here right before we
Mark Roth saying Astros baby.
Astros baby. See, I've always been like, do you call them the Astros? I've always been hesitant on what the actual is. Are they is it okay to call them the Astros? Are they the Falcons?
When I hear Astro Falcons, I just want like a logo of a falcon flying in space. Like I just want like an Astro. Like that's what I think of, like a space falcon. Just like
it's a falcon with a spacesuit on.
You're taking a comedic turn on it now.
And on that note, we're gonna get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 2. A lot of stuff on the network tonight. A lot on the line on the network tonight. Casual